Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's jump right into a topic that is quite literally transforming how we uncover our family histories. Now, if you've spent any time at all tracing your ancestry, you know the drill. For every massive thrill of discovery, there are hours, sometimes days, of tedious administrative legwork. Well, today we are looking at a total game changer. We're going to explore the core concept of using artificial intelligence as your ultimate research assistant. The whole idea is to let AI handle the absolute clerical slog of family history, which frees you up to focus on the high-level reasoning and, the actual thrill of the hunt.
I mean, picture this. How on earth do you find anything in 60 linear feet of completely unlabeled folders? It's a question that strikes fear into the heart of pretty much every dedicated family historian. We've all been there. You inherit boxes of digitized photos, thousands of unsorted letters, decades of scattered records. The sheer volume of unstructured data is just completely overwhelming. And that's exactly why this explainer matters so much. AI is uniquely built to take that terrifying mountain of paper and turn it into a manageable, highly searchable goldmine. Here is our roadmap for today. First, decoding the unreadable past. Then, organizing the evidence mess. Next up is solving complex family mysteries, followed by writing the family story. And finally, the human always decides.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Decoding the Unreadable Past, Translating and Transcribing.
So, this tackles our very first massive hurdle, those fading, practically invisible records from centuries past. The contrast here is just staggering. You basically have two choices. You can endure a brutal 2-hour manual transcription slog through an old probate record or a weathered church register, or you can leverage AI for a quick 15-minute draft review. AI-powered handwriting recognition acts as this incredible force multiplier. It takes that initial, exhausting heavy lifting entirely off your plate. Now, you still have to verify it, of course, but starting with a first-pass draft instead of a totally blank page, it's huge.
Plus, AI lowers the barrier to entry across the board. Let's be real, our ancestors didn't exactly cooperate by leaving records in perfectly printed, modern English, right? AI can tackle incredibly difficult scripts like secretary hand and German current schrift. It gives you working translations for Latin baptismal entries, French notarial acts, Polish vital records, instantly dropping that barrier so you know if a document is actually worth your time. It even translates archaic legal phrasing, things like dower rights or entail, so you don't completely misread a property transfer. And it can generate smarter search strategies to get past those terrible newspaper OCR errors and period-appropriate nicknames that always seem to break standard keyword searches.
Moving right along to Section 2, Organizing the Evidence Mess, Building Timelines and Metadata.
This phase is all about solving the massive organizational problem of personal collections and scattered facts. Mechanically building a tight, gap-free timeline for an ancestor across dozens of records is so tedious. But AI can take a messy pile of extracted facts, from censuses, land deeds, tax lists, city directories, and just automatically assemble them chronologically. What's really amazing here is that the AI will actually flag internal inconsistencies for you. It'll point out if an age doesn't track across records, or if an ancestor somehow magically appears in two places at once. It literally turns a scattered pile of abstracts into a highly structured research roadmap.
Remember those 60 linear feet of unlabeled folders we talked about earlier? Well, by using AI to extract the metadata, names, approximate dates, locations, rough content descriptions, from large batches of scanned materials, you completely solve the finding aid problem. AI turns a chaotic legacy project into a searchable index way faster than manual cataloging ever could. And AI just thrives on standardizing messy, unstructured data. Take crowdsourced memorial sites like Find a Grave, or even your own personal cemetery photos. AI can standardize those names, dates, and plot locations, and then automatically cross-check them against your known family groups. It's incredibly effective at flagging likely misattributions, or even better, identifying previously totally unknown family members buried right nearby.
Next up is Section 3, Solving Complex Family Mysteries, Fan Club, DNA, and Hypotheses.
Okay, this is where we get into the analytical heavy lifting, connecting the dots across complex kinship networks. If you know genealogy, you absolutely know Elizabeth Shown Mills's fan principle, researching an ancestor's friends, associates, and neighbors. It is one of our absolute best tools for finding indirect evidence.
but manually tracking every witness, bondsman, and neighbor across dozens of court records? It is a massive clerical burden. AI can organize, cross-reference, and surface patterns across these huge sets of names, pointing out those recurring associates that would normally just get completely lost in the noise. You still do the reasoning, but AI tracks the hundreds of names for you.
This ability to handle massive data sets extends brilliantly to DNA and migration, too. With DNA databases returning literally thousands of matches now, AI tools can help cluster those matches by shared segments and actually suggest working hypotheses about how a cluster connects to your tree. It can also quickly surface broader historical migration contexts, like the Great Wagon Road or specific chain migration patterns, and connect them to your family's documented movements. This really helps you decide if a coincidental same-surname cluster in a new county is actually your kin. One of the most powerful use cases here is competing hypothesis adjudication. So, say you have two guys named John Smith in the exact same county creating a completely tangled evidence trail. AI lays out the full body of evidence side by side. It tests internal consistency for hypothesis A versus hypothesis B, and it actually identifies exactly what new piece of evidence, like a specific tax list showing an age or a land deed with a spouse's name, would resolve the ambiguity and break the tie.
Section 4. Writing the family story. Drafts, narratives, and legacy.
So once the research is done, the formal write-up is often the biggest bottleneck for us. AI blasts right through that. It can produce a really strong first draft of formal research reports that actually meet strict citation standards like Evidence Explained, but beyond the academic side, it can draft multi-generational descendancy reports, which saves you from building repetitive sentences across dozens of lines. It can help structure findings for society bulletins or scripts. And most wonderfully, it can weave dry vital facts into actual engaging narrative biographies.
Because vital records tell you what happened, but rarely what it felt like. AI perfectly synthesizes historical context. It can pull in local economic conditions, military campaigns, or disease outbreaks to explain the why behind an ancestor's move. This context generation is exactly what transforms a sterile list of names and dates on a pedigree chart into a rich understanding of lived experience that your living relatives will actually want to read.
AI is also a total lifesaver for legacy planning. Let's be honest, formalizing a research legacy is a project management problem that almost all of us put off. AI effortlessly drafts the structural documents, mapping which repositories should receive what materials, or generating clear step-by-step instruction letters for an executor who might not be a genealogist themselves. It saves so much time on the purely administrative side of our hobby.
And when you're writing, you often have to explain conflicting data, right? Like a birth date that varies between a family Bible and a death certificate. Well, AI helps speed up your analytical bookkeeping by laying out each source's evidentiary characteristics side by side. It easily classifies them as original versus derivative or primary versus secondary information.
Finally, Section 5. The human always decides. Clerk versus judge.
This brings us to the absolute golden rule of using these tools in your research. You must always keep the genealogical proof standard, the GPS, at the forefront of your mind. AI tools can and occasionally do hallucinate plausible-sounding but entirely fake text. Because of this, mandatory human verification is required. You have to evaluate the evidence, verify the sources, and apply the 5 guidelines of the GPS before asserting absolutely anything as a genealogical fact.
The source material perfectly summarizes this division of labor, saying, AI works best as a research assistant, while the genealogist retains full authority. Think of AI as your tireless, hyper-efficient clerk. It handles the transcription, the organization, the metadata extraction, the first pass drafting. But you are the judge. You weigh the evidence, apply the reasoning, and make the final authoritative conclusion.
Which brings us to our final thought. AI can decode the unreadable past, build your timelines, and organize your files. But how will you choose to write your family's future? The tools to conquer those 60 linear feet of unlabeled folders are finally here. I challenge you to embrace this incredible force multiplier and start transforming your hidden history into an accessible, lasting family legacy today. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and happy researching.